Welcome to Too Fond of Books. My name is Janelle, and this is a March Mystery Madness Top 22 video. Before I reveal which top 22 books I will be talking about, I need to show you the book that I found for yesterday's 2x2 mystery game. I needed to find a book that had a female amateur sleuth. So I decided to go with this. It's in my cart to read, A Quiet Life in the Country by T.E. Kinsey. This is a Lady Hardcastle mystery. I love the cover on this. Isn't that fun? So this is a historical mystery set in 1908, which is great. And our amateur sleuth is Lady Emily Hardcastle, who is a widow and decides to move out to the country. So that's the one I'm going for today's video. Stay tuned to the end when we will play another round of the 2x2 mystery game. Alright, so what's today's top 22? Today I'm going to do the top 22 lesser known Golden Age mysteries. Now, of course, these are lesser known to me. Some of these you might be like totally familiar with, but they're ones that I don't think get talked about maybe very much or as often. So yeah, I'm going with these ones. Again, these are in no particular order, and I'm using mystery in the broadest possible sense. So these may not all be whodunits, but they are all classified as mysteries. Okay. So first up we have They See in Darkness by Ethel Lina White from 1946. Isn't this a super creepy cover? I love that. Ethel Lina White's stories are distinguished by a strange, macabre quality which she has made peculiarly her own. In They See in Darkness, she presents an eerily fascinating picture of a town plunged in a miasma of fear and superstition. Full Circle by Henry Cecil. We swear by the almighty reading public that this book of 16 engagingly connected short stories by the author of Brothers-in-Law is funny, wholly funny, and nothing but damnably entertaining. We further swear that it is quite instructive in some of the cleverer ways of getting round the law and the courts. Nothing dangerous, of course. Just murder, theft, murder, perjury, spot of blackmail, that sort of thing. We submit, members of the jury, that if you did not decide unanimously in its favor, you would be a despicable collection of muddle-headed... Very well, Your Honor. You would have made a mistake. Isn't that fantastic? So this collection of short stories came out in 1948. The Pavilion by Hilda Lawrence from 1946. Young orphaned Regan Carr is happy to be invited to live with her rich cousin Hurst Harold, but she arrives with her battered suitcase to discover cousin Hurst has passed away, and the peculiar mansion is filled with grasping in-laws and peculiar siblings. Among this strange menage, Regan finds a few friends, her handsome cousin Frey, and the old servants Caddy and Jenny. And Regan will need friends, for it seems that cousin Hurst did not die a natural death. Here Comes the Toff by John Creasey. This is from 1940, and it's the fourth in the Toff series. The Honorable Richard Rollison, the Toff to the police and underworld of a dozen countries. The Toff receives an invitation to a dying and finds himself the main attraction. These are a really fun series of books, and I don't hear the Toff get talked about very much at all, so I think the whole series could be considered lesser known. From This Dark Stairway by Mignon G. Eberhart from 1931. Nurse Nancy Page was beautiful, and she knew it. She was also aware that a rich, important patient had his eye on her, but she didn't care. One night, the patient disappeared under bizarre circumstances. Then, murder rocked the hospital. Nancy had a sudden attack of terror, for the killer had written a prescription for the death of one Nancy Page. Eberhart is an American writer, and I've read a few of her books and quite enjoyed them. I have not read this one yet, though. Lion in the Cellar by Pamela Branch from 1951. She has an all-seeing eye for the offbeat, the downbeat, and the deadbeat. That's a description of Pamela Branch. Murder was the pride of the Heap family. Suki's great-grandfather had thought big and invented machine guns. He was knighted. Her grandmother, women are far more personal, had attended to 5 victims with an axe. Her fame waxed in the Chamber of Horrors. Suki's mother had turned over to arson, and her Uncle George was getting an excellent press as the Strangler. And then Suki's husband found her thrusting a poleaxed corpse into the housemaid's cupboard. What more natural than to swap it for a stuffed lion? So would you. I haven't read this one yet, but oh my goodness, the back, that description just makes me so intrigued. But yeah, that's the lion in the cellar. Comes the Blind Fury by Douglas Rutherford from 1950. This is an adventure thriller. The story really begins in 1940, shortly before Dunkirk, but it didn't concern Reagan until many years later, when the partner of his newly opened special agency business was summarily shot in a Paris nightclub. The Cambridge Murders by Glyn Daniel from 1945. The murder of the porter at a Cambridge college begins a mystery which is deepened when it is found that the unpopular dean of the college is missing. The search for the murderer is conducted partly by the police and partly by the vice president, Sir Richard Charrington, an eminent but slightly eccentric archaeologist with a penchant for amateur detection. That one sounds really good, right? Okay. Next up is Dead Lion by John and Emery Bonett from 1949. Cyprian Druce was a powerful satirist and parodist, feared, hated, respected, and by many women loved. He was not liked by anyone at all. And then, suddenly, he died. Murder was not suspected until in a locked cabinet in his room, his nephew Simon found 6 gramophone records, homemade recordings of 6 women passionately declaring their love for him. 6 women who all had good reason for wishing Cyprian dead. My Name is Michael Sibley by John Bingham from 1952. My name is Michael Sibley. Sibley was the opening phrase of a statement made to the police. The investigation was that of a murder, the murder of a school friend of Michael's. The investigation plays out as seen through Michael's eyes. The working of the suspect's mind and the states of emotion and panic which controlled his actions are perfectly understood and conveyed by Bingham. So that one feels very much more like a psychological type of mystery. Dawn Among the Dead Men by Ve Vuliami. Not sure if I'm saying that right. From 1952. Murder follows the accident in the laboratory of Dr. Bowles Ottery, no ordinary chemist. Certain social implications flowed from his accidental discovery, and they interested Dr. Bowles Ottery to an extent which it would be unfair to do more than hint at. The Great Impersonation by E. Phillips Oppenheim from 1920. I love this edition, is fantastic. It's a pocketbook edition from 1943. Love, mystery, and international intrigue. A perfect blending of love, secret enterprise, and malevolent cunning. Oppenheim is the great master of romances ingeniously woven into a colorful, exciting background of extra-political adventure. By the Watchman's Clock by Leslie Ford from 1932. This is another edition that I love. This is a pocketbook edition from 1944. Inside the library sat Daniel Sutton, dead, murdered. Outside the library window lay the body of the Watchman, literally frightened to death, they said. Old Daniel's tight fists had held the charming little college town in an iron grasp. So many people had cause to hate him that it was no easy task to pick out the murderer, till the clue of the Watchman's clock led to one of the strangest denouements in the annals of crime. The Whispering Cup by Mabel Seeley. This is another American writer. This is from 1940. A young woman returns to her ancestral home to find evil and a perilous heritage. A foreboding silence shrouded the small village as she returned. The air seemed ominously thick. Evil seemed to lurk in the empty streets. But then the vague terrors turned into threats, and even her wildest imagination couldn't conceive of the horrible fate that loomed before her. Holiday at Half Mast by J.J. Farjeon from 1937. Wellington Price returns from an around-the-world trip to discover that his brother has apparently shot himself. The Tea House Detective, The Case of Miss Elliott by the Baroness Orsi from 1905. This is a little earlier than technically Golden Age, but I wanted to include it because the Baroness Orsi is really famous for her Scarlet Pimpernel books, but not a lot of people know that she also wrote mysteries, mostly short stories. This is a short story collection. The detective in this is also known as the man in the corner. There are 12 short stories in this collection. In the corner of the ABC tea shop on Norfolk Street, Polly Burton of the Evening Observer sets down her morning paper filled with news of the latest outrages and eagerly waits for her mysterious acquaintance to begin. For no matter how ghastly or confounding the crime or how fiendishly tangled the plot, the tea house detective can invariably find the solution without leaving the comfort of his cafe seat. What did happen that tragic night to Miss Elliott? Who knows the truth about the stolen black diamonds? And what sinister workings are behind the curious disappearance of Count Collini? The police may be baffled, but rare is the mystery that eludes the brilliant tea house detective. Okay, The Incredible Crime by Lois Austen-Leigh from 1931. Lois is the great-great niece of Jane Austen, which is cool. Prince's College, Cambridge is a peaceful and scholarly community enlivened by Prudence Pinsent, the master's daughter. Spirited, beautiful, and thoroughly unconventional, Prudence is a remarkable young woman. One fine morning, she sets out for Suffolk to join her cousin Lord Welland for a few days' hunting. On the way, Prudence encounters Captain Studd of the Coast Guard. It's got an E at the end, so maybe it's Stewed, who is pursuing a quarry of his own. Studd is on the trail of a drug smuggling ring that connects Welland Hall with the cloistered world of Cambridge. It falls to Prudence to unravel the identity of the smugglers, who may be forced to kill to protect their secret. Tragedy at Law by Cecil Hare from 1942. Partly inspired by Cecil Hare's own experiences as a barrister and judge, Tragedy at Law follows a rather self-important High Court judge, Mr. Justice Barber, as he moves from town to town presiding over cases in the Southern England circuit. When an anonymous letter arrives for Barber warning of imminent revenge, he dismisses it as the work of a harmless lunatic. But then a second threatening letter appears, followed by a poisoned box of the judge's favorite chocolates, and he begins to fear for his life. Enter barrister and amateur detective Francis Pettigrew, a man who was once in love with Barber's wife and has never quite succeeded in his profession. Can he find out who wants to kill Barber before it is too late? There is a quote from P.D. James on the back. Tragedy at Law is regarded by many lawyers as the best English detective story set in the legal world. High praise indeed. Many people know Cyril Hare as the author of An English Murder, which is from 1950, I think. So this is a lesser known of his works, but also very entertaining. The Double Chance by J.S. Fletcher from 1923. J.S. Fletcher is well known for the Middle Temple murders that he wrote in 1919, I think. Set in a Yorkshire mining village, our main character believes the accused is innocent and decides to discover the truth of the case for himself. Bats in the Belfry by E.C.R. Lorac from 1937. Lorac is famous for the short story novella called The Lodger. In this one, Bruce Addleton dazzled London's literary scene with his first two novels, but his early promise did not bear fruit. His wife Sibylla is a glittering actress, unforgiving of Bruce's failure, and the couple lead separate lives in their house at Regent's Park. When Bruce is called away on a sudden trip to Paris, he vanishes completely until his suitcase and passport are found in a sinister artist's studio, the Belfry, in a crumbling house in Notting Hill. Inspector MacDonald must uncover Bruce's secrets and find out the identity of his mysterious blackmailer. Murder of a Lady by Anthony Wynne from 1931. Wynne wrote some of the best locked room mysteries of the Golden Age. Ducklin Castle is a gloomy, forbidding place in the Scottish Highlands. Late one night, the body of Mary Gregor, sister of the Laird of Ducklin, is found in the castle. She has been stabbed to death in her bedroom, but the room is locked from within and the windows are barred. The only tiny clue to the culprit is a silver fish's scale left on the floor next to Mary's body. Inspector Dundas is dispatched to Ducklin to investigate the case. The Gregor family and their servants are quick, perhaps too quick, to explain that Mary was a kind and charitable woman. Dundas uncovers a more complex truth, and the cruel character of the dead woman continues to pervade the house after her death. Soon, further deaths equally impossible occur, and the atmosphere grows ever darker. Superstitious locals believe that fish creatures from the nearby waters are responsible, but luckily for Inspector Dundas, the gifted amateur sleuth Eustace Haley is on the scene and unravels a more logical solution to this most fiendish of plots. And last, we have Murder in the Museum by John Rowland from 1938. When Professor Julius Arnell breathes his last in the hushed atmosphere of the British Museum reading room, it looks like death from natural causes. Who, after all, would have cause to murder a retired academic whose life was devoted to Elizabethan literature? Inspector Shelley's suspicions are aroused when he finds a packet of poisoned sugared almonds in the dead man's pocket, and the motive becomes clearer when he discovers Arnell's connection to a Texan oil millionaire. Soon another man plunges hundreds of feet into a reservoir on a Yorkshire moor. What can be the connection between deaths so different and so widely separated? The mild-mannered museum visitor Henry Fairhurst adds his detective skills to Inspector Shelley's own, and together they set about solving one of the most baffling cases Shelley has ever encountered. So there you go. That's my top 22 lesser-known Golden Age mysteries. I would love to know in the comment section down below if you have read any of these, if these are not lesser known to you. And also, if you are a reader of Golden Age mysteries, can you recommend a lesser known book to me? Because I am a huge, huge Golden Age fan. And before I say goodbye, it's time for the next round of our 2x2 mystery game. Roll number 1. 3. Setting. Rural or urban. Roll number 2. 3. Oh, roll again. 1. our whodunit. Let's find out. 1. So we will be looking for a mystery with a rural setting that is a thriller. Ooh, that one's a little trickier. Often thrillers are set in an urban setting, aren't they? Ooh, I can't wait to see what you find, and I'll let you know in tomorrow's video what I find. I'll see you then. Bye.